Hey, welcome to our first micro lecture for week 6 as we finish up Excel. Week 6 of 8, we're nearing the end. Okay, so this video is going to review data, formulas, and we're going to talk about an absolute reference in a formula. We're also going to look at how we can organize our data in Excel, make it, formatted nicely, and make sure all our formulas are correct. So let's get right into this. We, again, from the Shasta College page, sign into the portal, click on Canvas, and you'll come to the homepage, course homepage, okay? So we're focusing on week 6 here. Now remember, we have to make sure we have the sample file that we need to make changes to uploaded to our OneDrive folder. Okay, we have to make sure you keep a copy of every assignment. That way, if something's missing or if you have to redo something, it's easy for you to find. Okay, so we're going to do this whole data saving flow again. So we're going to click on week 6 data chart, and it shows kind of a preview of what the chart looks like. And then click on the download link, and you'll notice that it downloaded right here. Okay, so now we can go back to My Apps, go to this. So this is, the dashboard. Go to the squares. We want to open up OneDrive. Okay, and we'll go to the folder icon here, and this shows you all your files. So we're going to open up CIS1. We're going to create a new folder for week 6. And in that folder, we're going to upload from our downloads folder the sample data chart. Upload. All right. Now we have to make sure that we have the sample file in OneDrive on your portal before you open it. Okay, this makes sure that we're opening it in Microsoft 365 cloud-based version. Okay, so be sure and do that. Now I'm going to go to a full screen view real quick. So give me a second here. Kind of looking at like the behind the scenes look here, because I needed to have that Excel file opened before I can do the full screen. Okay, so here we are looking now at, well, here we go, come on. So let's take the whole thing then down. Here we go. Okay, this is better. A little behind the scenes look. So with, I'm using OBS, Open Broadcast Studios, and so I have kind of my scenes and stuff laid out, but when I'm doing stuff live, sometimes I have a little fixes to make. So, and I have committed to one-take videos. I don't like to spend time editing. Okay, so what we need to do now is to look at our data in our table and make it look, pleasing, right? Make it look easy to read. Okay, so we have, first I'm going to show you some things that I didn't show you before. Okay, I'm going to click on the column tab for column A. I'm actually going to right click on it, and I'm going to choose insert one column to the left. Okay, that gives me some space to the left. And I want to do the same thing. I want to insert one row above. Okay, that makes it look a little closer to our print preview, right, where we have space around the chart. Okay, so now you'll notice that we have some data similar to last week's assignment, but this is different. Okay, we want to highlight all of our data, right? We have two new columns, subtotal and tax. First, we want to highlight our data, and let's go to borders, and we want to show all borders. Okay, that makes it really easy to see in the print preview when we print it out or submit it. We're also going to highlight the first row in the table, because these are the table headers, and make them bold. I'm also going to do thick outside borders, so that looks really nice. Okay, now you'll notice that here our grand total of verbiage is longer than the cell is wide. So we could do two things, right? Like here on notebooks too, we could make B a little bigger, make column B a little bigger, but okay. We could make column F a little bigger if we want to hold it. Another thing we can do is we can take these two cells here and we can say merge and center. And then we can highlight these two cells and do a thick bold around them as well. Okay, so that makes the table kind of more pleasing to the eye. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and delete this column, or delete this row. That way there's no spaces there in between. There's just grand total. Here's our items, the quantity, the price. Okay, now you remember last time that we made price, we made this currency. The subtotal is also going to be currency, as well as the tax. Well, the tax, yeah, because we're gonna make we want to know how much tax we're paying, and so we're gonna make this into currency as well. Okay, so as we put in our formulas, everything will look nice and neat. Now, another thing I want to do is I want to highlight everything here, and I want to put everything centered. Okay. All right. So we have kind of our table borders and headings, and everything looks really good. Make sure, right, it's pleasing to the eye, because this is what we're going to see when we submit it as a file. So if we go to File, Print, we see a print preview. It looks nice. We're not going to see all the other cell information, but we want this table just to look good. Okay, so let's go back here. All right. So we're going to, before we even start the subtotal or anything, we're going to add a new cell. And we're going to label this, and we're going to just add this over here somewhere, just out of the way. I'm going to name this sales tax. Okay, and the sales tax is going to be here, and this sales tax is 7.25%. So we could write this as 7.25 and then make this a percentage, 7.25. Then we'd have to increase our increase how many places past the decimal point with increased decimal right there, 7.25. But sometimes in our formulas, this can, you know, be kind of dirty. So what I want to do here is I'm going to make this 0.0725, okay? And I want to make sure that I'm showing all the decimal places. This is the decimal representation of 7.25%, okay? And I'm not a mather, but, right, we know this is less than 1. We know it's less than 10%, which would be a 1 in the first decimal place after the period, and it's 7%, 7.25%. So that's how we represent that. Okay, and we're going to use that in a formula. Okay, so now we have our tax cell and we've put in the tax rate. This is going to be what's called an absolute reference. Okay, what we're going to do is make sure that as we do our tax column that we're using this formula, and we don't want it to kind of automatically copy down, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so let's go to here, the subtotal. We know this equals this cell. I'll click on it, hit the plus sign, or sorry, not the plus sign, the multiplication sign, this cell, and hit enter. Okay, so we have $15. We click in that cell, we can see the formula up here. We can drag that formula down by putting our cursor over the fill handle until it turns into that, that cross, and then we drag it down. Okay, and we'll notice that this now says C4 times D4, C5 times D5, C6 times D6. Okay, so we have multiple columns here. I'm going to change the quantities, and you can do this too. I want there to be just a good variety of differences in the prices here for our chart. So I'm, you know, and I probably should have done that on the sample, but I just noticed it. So I would make those changes. That way, when we build our chart in the next video, there's some really distinct results we're going to get. Okay, so now we're gonna calculate the tax. Okay, and we do this first by putting in the equal sign. All formulas start with equal, and we want to know the tax on $18, so E3, and we're going to multiply that by 0.025. That's going to give us 7.25% of our total, right? Which is $1.31. Now, usually, right, when we do formulas, we can just drag this down, right? But look at that, I'm getting zeros. Okay, so when I click on this cell, I click on the first one, it's showing that I'm referencing J3 right here. But when I drag it down, it's trying to find a value here in J4, right? Since we drug it down, it's assuming we have other values, okay? So what we need to do in our first cell of our tax form, of our tax column, is put our cursor right in front of the J, okay? And I want you to put in a dollar sign, okay? And then move your cursor over one so it's in front of the 3 and put another dollar sign. These dollar signs create what's called an absolute reference, right? So when we hit enter, it doesn't change this total here. But what it does is it tells Excel that even though we're copying this formula down through the column, we can move from E3 to E4, E5, E6, that's fine. but we must always multiply it by J3 and not allow it to, assume that there's data in these other columns. Okay, so now that we've created that reference, now we can drag the new formula down, and now it shows the correct tax in each cell. You'll notice that in column E or F4, it moved E3 down to E4. So it's moving that down correctly, right? That's called an absolute reference. Okay, and sometimes you'll need to, add sales tax, maybe profit margin, maybe commissions, and so you'll need that absolute reference sometimes, and it's a really good tool to have. Okay, so now we're going to use the total, right? We're going to equal our subtotal plus our tax equals 1931. Okay, and now I'm going to copy this formula down. Okay, so now we have our subtotal and our total. We want to create our grand total here, right? So put your cursor there, start with equals, type in, and it's giving us a suggestion. It says, hey, I think you want a subtotal of the cells above, which are G3 to G6, which is exactly what we want. So I'm just gonna, instead of typing the whole thing, I'm gonna click on it, right? And it knows that I wanted these, I don't know why I was doing that, come on. That I wanted to add up this column right here. Pretty cool. Okay. All right, so we have our formulas in, we have our absolute reference in, we have our grand total in. Okay, so it's important that when you're using Excel that you're looking at the data, making sure it's formatted correctly, making it pleasing to the eye, right? So now when we go into, and I'll bold sales tax, why not? I'll put these in a show all orders. Now when we go to file, print preview, this is what we see, a nice table and the sales tax over there. And yeah, I just did that right there. Okay, so make your data look good, make sure you're using the correct formulas and formatting. Use those new tools and tips like inserting a column and a row, using an absolute reference, making your data look good. Okay, so that's the end of the lecture for this first one, micro lecture. The next one we'll talk about sorting and filtering, and then we'll create charts and how we customize the chart to show the data that we want. So thanks a lot for watching. Hopefully this will help you with your assignment, and I'll see you in the next micro lecture.